Hi guys, so this is my first YouTube video ever. I am so excited to join YouTube and teach you guys the way I've been trading. I've been in the industry for the past 9 years now, so it's been quite a journey. The last about 4 years is when I kind of figured out my own system and my own way of trading, so I'm excited to share some of that with you guys. In today's video, we're going to go over how to properly draw zones. So looking at GBP, JPY, that's one of my favorite currency pairs to trade. When I was figuring out my system and figured out the most consistent way for me to be profitable, I started with the GJ and I back tested it for a year, and that's what I've used for the last 4 years. So it's been great. When you search for GJ, it's up to you what exchange you want to use. I usually use FXCM, but there's so many brokers that you can use depending on what you trade with. There's even Fusion Markets, which is a great broker from Australia. So it's honestly up to you, whatever you want to use. So let's just use Fusion. So when you're drawing the zone, a lot of people have different concepts. So they learn support and resistance, they learn supply and demand. You can use, it's all basically very similar. How I do it is a very easy way. So I point out areas in the market that have a reaction and a rejection. So what I do is I take the rectangle tool, and you can do whatever colors you want with them. You just go to style, go to whatever color. So I chose green, or you can choose purple, whatever you want. So I just do this. And to make it deeper, you can do this if you want to. It's totally up to you. So I do that to identify my zone. So I start from the body candle, so where this closes right here. Never go from the top of the wick to the body candle. I mean, sometimes you can, but you have to measure the zone. So here's a little trick. It cannot be more than 20 pips. So for example, let's just try to find an example where it is more than 20 pips. Sometimes it's fine, and sometimes the wicks are really, really big. So let's just see what this gives us. Oops. Okay. So we're going to take that measuring tool. We're going to measure it. Okay, so that one's fine. Sometimes they're really, really big. It really just depends on where it is. So like for here to here, I'm sure that's more than 20 pips. Yeah. So this would be a good example. So you want to take it has to be less than 20 pips. And the reason for that is because you want to try to get the most accurate entry possible. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to identify it a little bit. So I'm going to take it from the candlestick body, okay? When you're first doing this, because I know there's a lot of beginners on here, what I do is I literally, you can just take the zone like this, and you can quickly just identify the area. So I would just kind of go like this and identify where price has reacted. Like that's the easiest way to do it. So you don't pick too many, but pick the obvious areas. And then basically what you can do is once you pick those areas, just extend them. So that's, if you're a complete beginner, that's an easier way to do it. So once you have that zone, so for example, I'd put this here, I'd bring it across, and then I'd get one here, for example, I'd bring it across. This one can just stay here, obviously. This one has to stay at that thing, at the closure. Once I attach them, I'm going to use a horizontal ray tool, and I'm going to attach the number on it. Okay, And so another thing you guys can do is instead of manually doing this, you can just click on it, go to style, go to right. You can also do it left as well. Okay, so this is what it looks like, and this will make it so much more accurate when you're drawing them. So we'll do another example. And the biggest thing is, I'm on the 1 hour right now, I just wanted to quickly show you, but I usually do them on the 4 hour time frame, and then I drop down to the 1 hour to monitor it. So let's just do a different pair. Let's say USD CAD, and I'm gonna choose Fusion, if I can find it. Okay, I don't know where it is. But, okay, let's just do 8 cap. All right, so we would go to the 4 hour time frame, and we would end up marking areas. So for example, here, and we will do here. Here. When it's a ranging market like this, like it's kind of choppy on USD CAD, it's usually always like that. It's normal for some of the zone to cut off the price. That's totally fine as long as you can count at least 3 areas where it's reacting. So just in case you're ever in a ranging market like this. So then you attach the horizontal ray to get the prices. So you'd attach 2 prices. Okay. And so this is what I usually do on the 4 hour. So the 4 hour are my major zones. And then on the 1 hour, I drop down for my minor zones. And so anything in between here. So here's the thing. When you're drawing your major zones on the 4 hour time frame, and let's say you take an entry off the major zone on top here, you put your stop loss above. A stop loss is such a personal preference. I like mine 20 to 30 pips, but it really just depends on what time frame you're entering on. If you're entering on a really low time frame, you can get a tight stop. It's just you don't want to be in the position where you're always getting stopped out and then it goes in your direction. If that's happening to you, you have to fix your stop loss. So for example, let's just say I did a 12, or let's just say I did a 15 pip stop. Oops. Or sorry, 150. So let's say I did a 15 pip stop, and then my entry was 36,033, and I was figuring out, okay, where's my target? So this is obviously our next major target. But as you can see in here, we have some reaction areas. So what I do in between is I identify them with horizontal rays. So I want to make sure, for example, 13792 and 135,683 is breaking. That's what's most important. So everyone's like, okay, I don't want to scalp, I want to day trade or I want to swing trade. Every time you enter a trade, it's actually a scalp until it continues. So as soon as you enter, it's always going to be a scalp. And then as it's going, that's when it turns into a day trade and a swing trade. It really just depends on where you are entering and what the setup looks like. So obviously this is that major structure, and it ended up breaking these levels and these numbers. So as long as it does that, you can keep extending your target. But when you first enter a trade, it's always a scalp until it turns into a day trade or a swing trade, depending on the setup. So these minor zones in between, because if you measure this from here to here, that's 61 pips. And on GJ, for example, sometimes it's 100 pips, right? So you have to have some minor areas in between. Now you can do lines, you can do zones if you want to, and you can change them to a different color, knowing that this is a 1 hour minor zone. So you're drawing your major zones on the 4 hour, you're monitoring it, price action on the 1 hour and drawing your minor, and then on lower time frames, you are taking the entry. So why that's so important to take entries on the lower time frame is for this example. So as you can see here at the top, this obviously rejected. This isn't enough rejection to tell us that it's going to reverse, right? So like this is the high right here. It actually could have went further, tapped into that high, and then continued down. So it ended up tapping into this structure and then ended up going down. And you can look left because it matches up. So whatever is on the left, if it respects, it's going to reverse, obviously. So it's really, really important you always look left. I have so much to tell you guys and so much to get into, but this video specifically, we're focusing on drawing proper zones. So once it comes up to structure, there's two things. There's new sessions coming in, number one. So this was London session. London session comes in, a new session comes in later on. So the New York session, so the New York session drops it. So the time sessions are also super important. But to get this price action, we wouldn't know it's ready to reverse here. I mean, yeah, when we look left, it's here, but it could have gone up further, tested in, and then gone down. So how we get that price action here is we drop down to a lower time frame. So let's just do this quick. Okay, so let's go to the 15 minute. So on the 15 minute, we have one reaction here, and then it ends up coming up for correction and continuing down. Then at minor structure in between here, we have a couple retests. So there's multiple numbers to enter on here. But if you wanted to get more price action up here on that major zone, you'd go down to a 5 minute or a 1 minute. So you're trying to get as much price action as you can at that specific zone. So as you can see here, there is more price action here. So it tries to break above, it breaks and tests. This would be your entry here. So there's always, so the lower that you go, you could even do the seconds. The lower that you go, the more price action that you see. The trick is once you get that set up, and like I said, you can even get it on the 5 minute or the 15 minute. So even at here, there's so many areas. You just want to try to take it at the major structure as best as you can, but there's so many areas to get in here, obviously. So but regardless, once you take the entry on whatever price, you're focusing on the price. So if you want to get in at 136.033, that's the price you want to get in on. Or for example, 136 even, or 136, whatever, 900, whatever you choose and whatever you're prepared for, you want to make sure you take that entry. And then you do not look at the targets on a lower time frame. You actually go back up to at least the 1 hour to identify your targets. The reason for that is because there's so much noise on lower time frames that you don't want to get out too early, right? And people get scared and they want to get out so fast, but it's just like, ride the wave. Like if it's giving you that opportunity, go ahead, right? You want to get the most out of one setup as possible. For me, I think less is more. So taking very good quality trades is very, very important than taking random trades that aren't going to give you a good reward. Obviously, when you're first trading and you're a beginner, you're just practicing. But as you get that experience, you only want to take good quality setups. So I am going to end this video. I hope you guys liked it. Make sure you subscribe and like the video.